Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm back again with this shorter style of content, so I really hope you enjoy it. Today's video is about the future of collaborations in Persona 5 The Phantom X. I am mainly making this video because I am just so excited for the P5R collab that's going to add Kasumi Yoshizawa and Goro Akechi. So I just really want to discuss this topic. In July of this year, the developers of P5X actually told us their plans for the collaborations in P5X. So that's what I really wanted to discuss today. The developers stated how they first wanted to make a collab with Persona 5 Royal, and then a collab with Persona 3 Reload, and then lastly, a collab with Persona 4 Golden. I really wanted to talk about these collaborations, and I wanted to discuss the contents of what these collabs could add. But really quickly, I'm going to be talking about spoilers for these following games: Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Strikers, Persona 3 Reload, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, so be aware. First, I'll discuss the Persona 5 Royal collab. This is the collaboration we know the most about because it's already been shown to us. This collab is focused around Kasumi Yoshizawa and Goro Akechi. This event will probably have 2 episodes of Crossfade, just like the rest of the P5 collabs, but I'm mostly interested in what these 3 episodes will actually contain. I believe that Size Palace is pretty much guaranteed to be added into P5X, and since Violet is the first character who's going to be added in the P5R collab, she's going to be the one who Wonder meets inside of the casino. I also feel like this episode of Crossfade is going to tie back into the original opening cutscene of P5X. In this cutscene, Joker and Wonder are seen battling inside of Size Palace. I don't necessarily think that Joker and Wonder are going to get into a fight, but I really feel like something of note is definitely happening inside of this palace. But I also believe that Wonder may explore Shido's palace too. I feel like this would be a very interesting thing because at this point of the story, the Phantom Thieves would know that Akechi is a traitor by the time they are exploring Shido's palace. If this happens, then this episode of Crossfade is going to be very interesting if they do indeed explore Shido's palace. The fact that this may happen gives me so much copium that Loki is going to be built into Akechi's kit when he drops. There's also another route they may take for these Crossfade episodes. I think it's possible to just create a very long episode inside of Size Palace as a way to avoid Black Mask Akechi, or as just a way to avoid Akechi being inside of Shido's palace to begin with. But the OST for Shido's palace was actually added into the game's files with the most recent update, so I really just doubt they're not going to add Shido's palace at this rate. But if they don't add Black Mask Akechi in P5X and only do Crossfade and Size Palace, they could use this situation to extend the P5R collab. They could do this by adding Dr. Maruki's palace and adding a separate Black Mask Akechi unit with that palace. But I doubt they would do this, because by the time that the Phantom Thieves have finished exploring Maruki's palace and would be inside of Wonder's dimension, Akechi would already revert to being dead, and Kasumi would already realize that she is Sumire, and I just don't think that the devs really want to bother with that. But I don't think that Persona 5 Royal is the last Persona 5 collab that we will be getting for P5X. I think there's a very high chance that we get a collaboration with Persona 5 Strikers. I would assume this collab would add 2 units, Sophia and Zenkichi. This fits perfectly with the pattern that previous Crossfades have been going with. They've been adding 2 characters and 2 palaces to explore. I am very convinced that this collab is going to happen, because in the very early days of P5X, I'm talking like closed beta test, an asset for something related to Sophia was in the game's files. It looks like some kind of shop icon, but at the very least, it confirms that the devs are working on something related to Persona 5 Strikers. For Sophie unit, I doubt they would make her a Blessed DPS, since we already have Closer S, Violet, and potentially Crow. I originally thought they could make her into a Bless healer since that was her role in P5S, but since Minami already exists, I think that would just be a pretty dumb decision. Sophie does actually have some debuff moves in Persona 5 Strikers, so a Bless debuffer could be possible, or there's still a universe where they just make her a Bless buffer for no reason at all. For Wolf, I honestly hope they make him an almighty DPS character, since that's his role in Persona 5 Strikers. An almighty unit would be such a silly idea, because almighty is such an underused element in P5X. If they didn't want to do that, the devs could also make Wolf a gun DPS character, since his dual guns is such a unique and iconic design element for him. The devs could focus on this and turn Wolf into a gun DPS character. I don't quite know how they would do crossfade episodes for P5S, since it seems that the P5R collaboration is attempting to end this storyline, but I have a vague idea for what they would add for these explorable jails. For Zenkichi's story, they would totally do the Kyoto jail slash Akane's jail. For Sophia, I feel like they could either do the Okinawa jail or the final jail that's ruled by Emma, which I totally forgot the name of. I really hope that they do in fact do a P5S crossfade for this collaboration, because it'd be such a cool way to explore these jails that usually cannot be explored in a traditional Persona 5 style. I mean, the Striker style is a bit like the original P5, but you know what I mean probably. But as for a Persona 5 Tactica collab, I really don't know if they'll do it. If they add characters from P5T, they will most likely add Erina and Toshiro, but there might be some hurdles that they'll have to go through in order to add these characters. The first hurdle would definitely be their art style. Toshiro and Erina are known for their chibi art style, so it might look a bit weird for them to be in the P5X art style, but there's concept art for Erina in the regular human art style, so it may be possible. The second hurdle would be the nature of their power. Toshiro's persona, Ernesto, is actually Erina, so this may cause a bit of trouble. But if they're in the same team, they can just do the same thing they did in P5T, where Erina just disappears for a little bit. But Erina doesn't even have a persona. She uses the power of her flag, which would make the creation of her kit very difficult. What element would she use? And what would her gimmick be? Plus, the crossfade type story for this collab would be quite weird, since there really aren't too many good places for Wonder and his squad to explore. So a P5T collab would be very difficult for the devs to make. I would not count on it myself. Okay, anyways, let's go on to the next Persona game. Persona 3 Reload. To be honest, I think this is the collaboration I have the least to talk about. I think it's guaranteed that we are getting the Persona 3 cast as brand new units, but I feel like this collaboration would add some of the party members to the standard banner, similar to how they added Mona, Panther, and Skull to the standard banner. My guess would be that they would add Yukari, Junpei, and Akihiko to the standard banner, and then the rest of the characters to the premium banner, just like the Persona 5 collabs. But there's a certain unit I really want to mention. The protagonist, Makoto Yuki. The devs specifically stated that P5X players were going to meet Makoto Yuki, which really makes me confused as to what this special story is going to be about. I think they're implying that Wonder is going to meet the actual Makoto Yuki, similar to how Wonder met the actual Joker. But since Makoto is busy being... it makes me think the P5X squad is going to go back in time to meet the Persona 3 cast, because I doubt that the P5X devs would add the modern versions of the P3 squad. I still think that the story is going to progress as the P3 story progresses, so basically at the start it's only Makoto, Yukari, Akihiko, Junpei, and Mitsuru. Then as more episodes release, more party members will join, and the characters start to develop a little more. As for what Wonder's actually going to explore, it's up in the air. I doubt they would explore Tartarus, so I think they're just going to explore the spaces where the cast fights the Arcana bosses. Examples could be the Love Hotel or that military base that has that tank guy in it. I also think they'll eventually explore the Abyss of Time for a bit, and maybe add another Aegis unit alongside a Metis unit. That's all I really have to say about this future collab, so on to the next one. Next, I'll talk about the Persona 4 Golden collab, and this is the one I'm most looking forward to. Again, it's pretty much guaranteed that the party members will be added as units. I also believe Yosuke, Chie, and Yukiko will be added as standard banner characters, with the rest just being premium banner characters. I also think Wonder Squad and the investigation team will explore the dungeons of each party member, with the same story progression as P5 Crossfade. I think it's such a cool idea that we would be able to explore these P4 dungeons in a Persona 5 style. But I wanted to mention something really quick. The devs specified a collab with Persona 4 Golden, and there really aren't any Persona 4 Golden exclusive Persona users but Marie. Marie doesn't actually use a Persona in P4G, but she does in P4 Arena Ultimax, so it'd be such a cool idea to have Marie in a traditional Persona fighting style and explore the Hollow Forest dungeon. If they really do add Hollow Forest to Persona 5X, I really hope that they keep all of the silly unique gimmicks. There's another thing I want to mention. In the files of P5X, there are currently 2 images of personas from Persona 4. There's an image for Izanagi, the persona of the protagonist Yu Narukami, and there's an image for Asterius, the persona of Labris from Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. But if you've played P4AU, then you would know that Asterius is specifically the persona for Shadow Labris. Regular Labris wields the persona Ariadne. This brings me to 2 conclusions. 1, there will be 2 forms of Labris, Shadow and Regular. Kits between them would be different, maybe even their element too. It may be possible for this to happen to other Persona 4 persona users, but this would be pretty dumb since their personas would be the same. It only makes sense for Labris since she has 2 different personas depending on form. Or 2, Labris will have a mechanic where she can turn into her shadow form. This would slightly change her appearance and change her persona, and probably change her attacks too. I really hope they do the second option since I believe it's pretty dumb if they sell a shadow and a regular version of the same character. I feel like this collab also opens the door for Persona 4 Arena Ultimax story in P5X. I feel like they could do a fun thing where they remake the P1 Grand Prix inside P5X, and they could probably even add the P3 cast into this story as just a little cameo. Also, on a little side note about the P4 collabs, I just really hope they add an Adachi unit because I think that would be so cool. Plus, I feel like it'd be really cool to explore a remade version of Megatsu Inaba. As much as I like the idea of these Persona party members being added into this game, I've sort of realized something that kind of concerns me. Throughout Persona history, the party members have had a lot of moveset overlap. For example, Chie and Yusuke are both Ice Fizz users, Yukari, Yosuke, and Morgana are all Wind healers, and Akihiko, Kanji, Ryuji, and Yu with Izanagi are all electric physical users. I think this could create a bit of trouble with the devs when they try to create kits for each of these characters. For Chie, they can just make her a single target ice user since Yusuke is AoE. Morgana is already an AoE healer with a single target wind move, so Yosuke could just be a single target healer with some AoE wind moves, I don't know. But I feel like Yukari could be a unit similar to S Moko. Yukari could be like a DPS and a healer while also being some sort of buffer. I feel like a system like that could really just make each of these characters just more unique in their own ways. But for the electric fizz users, just how would they do it? Would they incorporate just one of their elements or maybe both? How would they decide it? With Ryuji, they made him mainly a single target fizz user with a pretty useless electric move. Maybe Yu would be an electric AoE DPS with his iconic cross slash as a single target fizz option, but then would they make Akihiko a single target elect DPS with an AoE fizz move? But I don't know because Yui is already a single target elect DPS. Could they make Kanji an AoE fizz DPS with a single target electric move? But then Mesa is already an AoE fizz DPS, so would we have 2 of those? Or maybe Kanji could just be a single target fizz user with an electric AoE skill. Wait a minute, that's just Ryuji! I think if they want to fix this problem, they'll just have to create new types of characters. This is probably the best way to solve this little issue I thought of. The devs always seem to create such cool characters, kind of like MFS with her element changing ability, and even things like Joker with his extra turns and Yusuke with his counterattacks. I think that's all I got for today. It was very fun to talk about this and try to guess out how these collabs might turn out. What do you think that these collabs will bring? You should leave a comment. I would love to hear what you guys would like to see from these exciting collabs. Well, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. Bye!